Good morning, everybody. It's the morning after. Yesterday was Easter, and today's the first day back to work after celebrating with family and friends at church, having dinner together, getting together and having Easter egg hunts. Maybe it's the first time you've been in church this year. After all, Easter is one of the highest attended church days that there is. And yet, as I think about it being the morning after, I have to imagine myself if I was in the shoes of those who were following Jesus and they had ran when the pressure was really on. They're not unlike you and I. Oftentimes we want to do the things that are important, especially those who follow Christ. And when we do those important things, we want to do them with our whole heart. We want to be on fire, as we often say. And yet we find ourselves on Monday morning going back to the normal stuff. Now, I don't say that to shame you or to even use it as some type of springboard to make you feel guilty. I use that to help you understand why it's so important that you and I look at the cross and understand why grace is so critical to our lives. Can you imagine if you had to live perfect? Can you imagine if you had to be the morning after just as excited as you were yesterday morning with raised hands maybe in church singing? Or you have to be just as excited as you were when you're getting together with family. Imagine if you had to keep that level of emotion up in order to prove that you loved your family or that you loved your God. And yet you look in the mirror, you understand you. There are days in which you don't want to get out of bed. There are days in which you don't want to do anything. Imagine if that was the measurement of whether or not you were going to have security in the Christ who died on the cross. What an amazingly sad circumstance it would be. And yet this morning after, this day, the Monday after Easter 2019, is a day that we can remind ourselves that the very Christ that died on the cross and rose from the dead 3 days earlier tells us to come to Him when we are weary, to come to Him and our sin will be taken care of, that though it's red like scarlet, it shall be white as snow, to come to Him with our struggles and our problems, to come to Him with our issues, with our health, with our life, with our finances, with our marriages, with our kids, our parenting, our jobs. He says to come to Him with those things and to let Him be a part of that, to walk with Him, to have Him walk with you through these things. That's what He intends to do. That's what He wants to do. But it will not come by the morning after trying to be just as excited as you were yesterday in church or yesterday as you were in your family get-togethers. Where it comes from is in knowing the peace that comes through the grace of Jesus Christ. To know that nothing you can do will create in you a holiness that He will look at and say yes. A holiness He will look at and allow you into heaven with. Instead, He looks at you and says, I can make you holy if you're willing to let me. And it's not something you do. It's not something you practice. It's not some type of reading assignment that you get from the Bible. Instead, it's a surrender. And that surrender is that we give our life entirely to Him as much as we understand it at any given moment. And when we do, He says to us that He will not turn us away. As a matter of fact, He told in a setting one time to those that were listening to Him that those who come to Him, He will not cast off to the side. That's the promise you and I have here today. This morning after all the big holiday celebration, all the big remembrances, all the big celebrations, all the big worship. And today it's Monday morning. And you can hold fast in the reality that the Christ of the cross on Friday and the Christ of the resurrection on Sunday holds you in His hands because of His grace and His love for you. I ask you today to rest in that. Don't rest in your own goodness. Don't rest in your own being able to do things that impress people. Don't rest in your job description. Don't rest in your family identification. Don't rest in any of it. Instead, rest in the wonderful grace of Jesus Christ. And if you'll do that, it will begin to make you more and more aware of just what a wonderful gift Easter really is. And this morning after is a place I can celebrate it as much as I did any church service on any Easter Sunday through my entire life. I hope your Monday goes well. I hope God's grace is real to you. I hope you're always seeking His grace, because in His grace you will be free, and you'll be surprised how much He'll do once you're free. God bless you. Have a great Monday.